Alrighty, I gotta get it right this time. This is my third time recording. Let's get into it real quick. Speed run. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, so helmet, Cal the Nameless, obvious reasons. Trick attacks. We're doing crit strike damage build once again. Kind of similar setup to season 5, but updated to the new season 6. A couple changes here and there. Unstable elixirs is nice multiplicative. We enjoy it. Rapid gambits, we'll take them. Cool. Crowd control duration helps, but isn't like insanely all over the top crazy. You could probably rock Shaco instead of Cal the Nameless, but for the crit strike damage setup, it is probably just best in slot. If you're rocking the alchemical at mixture setup, you're probably looking at rocking Shacos. Next, Tyrell's Might, best in slot chess piece for endgame. No questions asked. Every build uses this. It gives so much LE res. It gives movement speed. It gives damage reduction. We love all of those stats. But it also gives us some base damage scaling, which is nice. Going into the gloves. A couple of reasons we went with legendary gloves this time. So firstly, uniques don't really benefit Rain of Arrows an absolute ton. I did a ludicrous amount of testing during season 5. Some were bugs, some were just not very beneficial, whatever. But also, it is a offensive gear slot. Your gloves, your ring, your rings, and your weapons, both your daggers and your bow, are your offensive aspect slots. So we get our multiplicative increased crit strike damage from this, which once again, crit strike damage build, multiplicative, we love it, big damage. Anyway, moving on to the legs, where you're rocking concussive strikes because multiplicative damage. A few things to note here. For those that are looking at this build and going, okay, this is an endgame build, I need something a bit earlier to fill in the slots, all the things. You will not be rocking second wind on this temper because you will need to have a LE res temper here. Same with a legendary chest plate. It will also have to have a LE temper on it of some kind. Doesn't matter what, as long as it helps fill in one of your 5 resistances that you need. And then later you'll get second wind because barrier OP, it's probably the strongest end game defensive that the rogue has currently, outside of just the damage reduction you get from Tyrell's Might and Dark Shroud. Next, we are on Penitent Greaves. A few different reasons. This build, now that we no longer have Flurry, we have to have some kind of mobility. From season 5, we had Tele Flurry, no longer have that. So now when we evade, not only do we get a big movement speed boost for 2 seconds, and we'll be, somewhat resetting it a little steady with rapid gambits. So we'll still be moving, but also we get unhindered for 2 seconds, which is very, very big. Because something that I know that the build struggled with for a good minute was just having to avoid CC from the AIs. And now you'll have to worry about it a bit less. The actual stats, or the modifiers on Penitent Greaves, you get a ton of movement speed, just flat out. We don't really care about the chill slow potency, but it is nice. Once again, crit strike chance against chilled enemies we don't care about terribly too much, but it's nice to have. And the cold resist will become completely nullified once you get Tyrell's Might, but up until then is very nice because it'll fill another resistance that you don't have to worry about anymore. We get the cold trail as we run. So as we're zooming through, we're getting chills and freezes, and that allows us to get a lot of our multipliers against mobs, big. But then we also just straight up get 25% multiplicative against chilled, which is huge. Moving on, we have the Battle Bow of Retribution. We're getting 70% multiplicative from to stun or knock down enemies. And Rain of Arrows, the first wave knocks down enemies for 3 seconds, and you're going to be spamming it constantly, so you'll pretty much constantly have enemies knocked down. On the mods and tempers, mods, straightforward, dex, crit strike damage, max life. Makes the most sense. The tempers, key point to add here, this will not be chance for Rain of Arrow waves to cast twice, because in the campfire that happened, I believe yesterday or the day before, might have been the day before, the day of this recording, they dropped this little bit of information. The left side of this, we don't particularly care about for this build, but, you know, some proper changes. But the right side, holy crap, everything good. Everything good for Rain of Arrows. So the tempering ethics changed from hit twice, which I believe is actually chance to cast twice. I'm not entirely sure, but if it is hit twice, we'll see it out. But regardless, it will be chance for Rain of Arrows to deal double damage, which is fucking huge. We love it. On the Rain of Arrows like passives, we get damage bonus increase from 40 to 60 on Supreme, and we get imbuement bonus increase from 30 to 50 on Prime. This bottom one we don't care about as much. But to jump over to the skill tree real quick, Prime, the reason we don't care about it is because we're a crit damage build, not a imbuement damage build. So this will go from 90% multiplicative, because Word of a Con over here, Rain of Arrows imbues all imbuments, isn't always imbued with all imbuments, sorry. Meaning we are getting Poison, Shadow, and Cold, which before this campfire update, whatever, was 90% multiplicative for, you know, all three, the Cold, Shadow, and Poison. Now it'll be 150% multiplicative, which, like I said, doesn't benefit us as much, but it's still base damage scaling, which means our numbers are going to be inflated regardless. This, on the other hand, we do care about changing from 40 to 60% multiplicative, because it is just a flat, basically non-conditional 20% multiplicative bonus for this setup, because it's damage to crowd control enemies, and we are always crowd controlling everything all the time with multiple crowd controls even. So it's just a massive bonus. There are some builds that are doing alchemical admixtures, in which case they maximum benefit from both of these, but I still think that the crit strike damage has a lot of potential on its own. But going back to the equipment, on the bow, we're rocking damage on next attack after entering stealth, and you're probably thinking like, what the heck happened here? Not damage per Dark Shroud Shadow? Are you crazy? So damage per Dark Shroud Shadow actually got kind of a nerf. I don't think it was exactly like cut in half, but it was cut by a pretty significant amount. So not only that, but also just we have the new Rain Pitfighter's Goal, which changes a few things, and I'll get back to that. So we're rocking the same kind of setup on our daggers, and we're rocking Opportunist on, it doesn't matter which dagger, but rocking Opportunist because we are getting stun grenades every time that we enter or break stealth. And that's very important, because I'll come back to that with the new ring. And then your stun grenades deal increased damage. Same setup here. Once again, chance for enemies to cast twice will be deal double damage. It's going to be huge. We're rocking one of the other stun grenade aspects. This is when we evade or shadow step, in which case we don't have shadow step, but we are going to be evading pretty, constantly. And that'll do fizz damage. Stun for 1 second, and you get the increased stun grenade damage. Big. Going to the ring slot, we were rocking Intercom. You're going to be evading a good amount, but not an absolute ton. Every now and then you're not going to be benefiting from this, and it's not going to be super important to benefit from this. You might be able to switch this out for one of the other stun grenades. So you could do when you spend 75 energy. Could be better, actually. Come to think about it again. The thing is it's less physical damage, which is a big thing that you care about because that is your base damage scaler. But regardless, you'll probably more consistently be able to do this, thinking about it again. Anyway, let's go back. Rocking intercom here because we want to get the most amount of multiplicative damage we can. And the next highest thing is the conceded aspect, which is 30% multiplicative while you have a barrier active. And that 9%, it's like maybe. So conceded is another good option if you're struggling. If you're not struggling to upkeep barrier, then I could see conceded being better than intercom. But that 9% extra multiplicative when you're min-maxing, when you're fighting a boss, which is what I wanted to focus on a little bit more, is significant, especially when you have a chance to deal double damage, because then you have a 18% rather than just a 9% multiplicative damage difference. But the big change this time around is Pit Fighter's goal. So Pit Fighter's goal is very significant because not only do we have the 1320 here and the 1320 here, meaning we have 2,640 from our daggers and bow. Obviously this is triple crit 12 out of 12 masterwork on those slots, so it's very high numbers and it's going to take a very long time to get to this point. But you will have 1640 plus the 1150 here essentially, which is 2,790 in the ballpark, something like that. So 3,800, let's say, or 2,800, sorry. So almost 3K flat, just big damage on top of the double damage. Really huge. Crit strike chance, once again, is nice because we do have downtime between precision stacks, but we will get guaranteed crit strikes when we have precision fully stacked. Smoke grenade cooldown, does that matter? We have preparation, which will reset all of your abilities every time that you use Rain of Arrows. Mending Obscurity is actually nice because if you get this early, especially before Tyrell's Might, before all the things, you'll be able to have a healing upkeep type, just a way of healing. You don't have to worry about having barrier or your second wind levels at that point, and you'll just be healing in between the procs of this aspect. And here is the big thing about this ring. You get casting smoke grenades increases your crit strike damage by 33% multiplicative for 6 seconds, 3 to 6 seconds. And here's another key part. And leaves behind a cloud of shadows. While within the cloud, you gain stealth once per second. So you will heal with Bending Obscurity while you are stealth from this aspect. You will get a ton of crit strike damage multiplicative crit strike damage, excuse me. But then also you will be going in and out of your stealth, which means that 2,800% additive that we were just talking about, it will be every single time that you go stealth, you will be getting that 2,800%. which is just a massive, massive number to also double the damage of. And then, going back to the aspect we had on the sword here, every time you enter or break stealth, meaning each time you do this, you're getting stun grenade procs. And you got stun grenade scaling on both of these, which is crazy. And then obviously, word of con, we care about the Rain of Arrows cooldown reduction up to 75%. After that, you don't care because you will not benefit at all from it. We triple crit the ultimate damage to get as much scaling as we possibly can from it. And chance for Rain of Arrows waves to cast twice. I did a ton of testing during Season 5. Once again, I didn't see any hotfix, updates, notes, nothing on this, but you only benefit from 100%. Anything past 100%, there's no point. Next, in the ranks to imbuement skills, we also don't care. We're rocking a crit strike damage oriented Rain of Arrows build, so it does not benefit as much from that. And I've looked at the receives your Aerostorm benefits, and I'm not entirely sure if stun grenades is going to outperform, so we shall see how that looks. But I digress. We might have to change a lot of things because, like I said, I didn't get to test this an absolute ton during the Season 6 PTR. So hopefully the damage scaling is still there, all the things. If anything, we're going to have to change out some of the stun grenade stuff. But it is what it is. So I will quickly just go through this. Pause if you want. I'll have the link in the description of the video so you guys can look at the build yourself. And yeah, let's get on the Paragon and rip through this. So starter board, we're rocking explosive. Two big reasons. One, it is the highest damage scaling glyph that the rogue has by quite a big difference. I mean, it's like 2x, maybe 3x most of them, but 2x some of the higher ones. And two, we get damage reduction from it, so we'll get survivability as well. Next, we are going into No Witnesses, and we're rocking versatility. We get some ultimate damage for more scaling, and we get 25% multiplicative to our ultimate from this, which is really nice. And then obviously at the legendary bonus, we get the 20.8% multiplicative increase. Next, going to the new board for the rogue, we have the Dance Macabre, and we're rocking Ranger, ultimate damage scaling and some damage reduction, and pretty big, the legendary bonus, we get that 20.8% to marksman skills. So our Rain of Arrows will just get a flat out 21% multiplicative damage scale, which is huge. Next, we got Deadly Ambush, and we're rocking Chip. This board is the most dex hefty board that the rogue has, so we are getting the max benefit that we possibly can to increase our fizz damage, and we get that 10% multiplicative fizz damage as well. And then the legendary bonus, we get 20.8% vulnerable damage multiplicative, which is big. And lastly, I do not know what I just did. I think I accidentally took that out. Apologies. Anyway, last board, because we can only have 5 boards now. It's no longer 6, 7 crazy boards. We're rocking Exploit Weakness and Combat. The main reason that we're rocking Exploit Weakness is not only just the legendary node, but also it is the most intelligence hefty board. So we can get 64 intelligence from this. which puts the crit strike damage from combat at 1,054%, with the new glyphs, which is insane. We get the skills that crit strike restore some energy costs, so that's nice. And then we get the 28.5% crit strike damage multiplicative from the legendary bonus. That is absolutely key and massive for this build. And then we have 77 points extra. At this point, I kind of skeletoned this this board. All these extra points, you're just going to be looking for a few different rares, some magic nodes. Other than that, you're literally just trying to beeline for as much dex as you possibly can, because the primary stat of the rogue is dex. So you get 540 with this particular setup, all the things. You get 540% skill damage, which is massive for Rain of Arrows, especially now that you have ranks to it. It has a ton of scaling. And lastly, I will end it off with the runes real quick. And we'll show off the end game max kind of setup precision node itself. So for the helmet, we are rocking Zan Yom, Zan being our offering producer and Yom being our offering consumer. When we cast an ultimate skill, we will get 150 offering, and we are going to be spamming Rain of Arrows all the time. So this is probably, I actually don't think probably, this is our best offering generator for this build. And it makes sense that we pair it with Yom, because if you read Yom, evoke the Druid's Petrify, stunning enemies and increasing your crit strike damage against them. So our crit strike damage every time that this procs, and the numbers don't show on precision, it doesn't show on your character sheet, all the things, you're going to be hitting a lot harder every time that this procs. Next, we have Yule Cax. So cast a skill with a cooldown. Our ultimate has it. Our smoke grenade has it. Our caltrops have it. Our poison trap has it. We're going to be casting all of these all the time. And because every time we use a Rain of Arrows, it resets all of them. Constant. Everything's just going. Excuse me. And then Cax. Your next non-basic skill cast spends all of your primary resource to deal up to 100% increased damage. Once again, all the multipliers. The chance to deal double damage. This is going to be massive. You will have to look out for this, right? It's roughly every 8 casts. Or not roughly, it is every 8 casts that this will happen, right? So, you cast these 3, cast an ultimate, cast these 3, cast an ultimate. 2 rotations, and you will have next skill will do this, in which case you reset your Rain of Arrows and pop it again, and big numbers. Next, trying to keep the video short, we're rocking Knock Mott. So Knock inflict a crowd control that isn't slow or chill. That takes out one of our imbuements, so we're rocking Poison and Shadow crowd controls. And we'll be constantly hitting a ton of different things. So we will be getting our Dark Shroud Shadows from this. And that's going to be how we upkeep our damage reduction. Lastly, going back to skill tree, show the precision. Endgame stats, pretty much max build, all the things. We are getting a grand total of 812.3% multiplicative crit strike damage, which is absolutely fucking insane. Even with all of the number squish that took place with this expansion. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed the build. Can't wait to see you guys. Season 6. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so good. Like I said, I unfortunately won't be playing this on start. I will be playing the Spiritborn, and we're gonna do tons of theory craft and build creation. Excuse me, build creation, all the things. And season 6, Vessel of Hatred. Yeah. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Take it easy. Peace.